Today, I'm taking you through a full day of van life. I'll show how I use Google Maps to find free places to park at night and discover secret nature spots during the day. Then, we're going to visit Tiny Fest. Buckle up, it's going to be a good one. I've been living in a van for 6 years now. For me, van life has always been about freedom. I'm not tied down to a specific location or schedule. Monthly expenses are a lot less when you're not paying rent and utilities, which means I can work less hours, and that gives me a lot more free time to live a life I truly enjoy. The thing I enjoy most about this lifestyle is stumbling onto incredible nature spots. I find the coolest places when I least expect it. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm currently traveling through San Jose, California. It's a city that I haven't spent much time in before. And I found a super cool spot that I wouldn't even know about if I wasn't living this lifestyle. Today, I'm giving an exclusive look into how I find free places to stay overnight and unique locations to explore during the day. But before we go exploring, I gotta have my coffee. I have a pretty good morning routine going. I start my day with a cup of espresso, then head over to my computer and spend a few hours working. I find that my mind is the most clear during these early hours of the day. And after my work is complete, it's time to prepare for a day of adventuring. Since space is limited, I have a pretty small wardrobe. Over the years, I've trimmed it down to kind of a van life uniform. I have 5 pairs of a specific style of tactical pants that I wear every day, about a dozen black t-shirts, and a few different coats and hoodies that I rotate through. These pants are made from a durable ripstop material, and they have just the right amount of pockets for all my daily carry gear. An LED flashlight, this Kershaw pocket knife, and this card wallet, which holds 5 cards plus cash and easily stores in my front pocket. And they have the perfect D-ring for clipping on my keys. Fall has finally arrived to the South Bay area, and after months of wearing nothing but t-shirts in the summer heat, I'm excited to layer up and bring out my jacket. Now I'm ready to explore. I mentioned that I'm currently staying in San Jose, California. I found this great parking spot right along the water. Let me show you how I got here and how I find great places to stay. Last week, I attended Burning Man in the Black Rock Desert of Nevada, then traveled west through Reno into California. This leg of my journey is bringing me to Tiny Fest, which is being held at the Santa Clara Fairgrounds. Tiny Fest is an event focused on the many different styles of tiny living, including ADUs and, of course, van life. So now that I've arrived in San Jose, California, I'm going to show you guys how I use Google Maps to locate cool nature spots to hang out during the day and free places to park at night. The first thing I'm always looking for is nature. And it looks like kind of the closest nature spot that's in the area is going to be this little waterway up to the northwest. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of zoom in. So if we scroll around, I can see here there's a park. Here's some photos. That looks pretty cool. What do we got? That's a cool photo. Nice sunset. So we like Alviso, Marina County Park. I always try to find an overnight spot that's very close to whatever daytime attraction I'm going to visit. The good news is there's a lot of commercial. There's a little bit of residential, it looks like, up here, but this is all commercial. And that's kind of my favorite type of parking is if you're in the commercial or the industrial sector, you can usually just kind of park on the street overnight as long as there's no big signs or anything prohibiting you. So there's some parking here. Nice thing about Google Satellite is you can see vehicles parked on the street. So we know street parking is allowed, but that's not a really exciting location. This is getting a little better. At least here you're next to a field. You're not right in front of a building. The other thing I try to look for when I am finding parking is I don't want to be right in front of someone's house, right? So like if you look here, there's a residence, here's someone's driveway, and then the parking's right across the street. So I don't want to be parked right across from somebody's house. That's just kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of rude just for me personally. And also it's not as stealthy because the person that's coming in and out, they're going to see you parked there and, probably wonder what's going on. Let's see what else we got. Here we go. Okay. So on Spreckles Avenue, now check this out. You can see if you zoom in, there is an RV up here. There's an RV here. There's an RV here. Some kind of a little, maybe that's a box truck. So this looks like a pretty good, here's a couple of RVs. This looks like a spot I could definitely stealth camp at. So let's go ahead and drop the man and see what it looks like. So here we are on the street view, Spreckles Avenue. So look at this, nice curb parking right along the waterway here, mountains in the background, nice little tree. It looks pretty clean. There's not a bunch of trash. And there's a little bit of trash right there. What else is cool about this is it's not directly facing somebody's house. This is a side street. So this is the side yard, that's a side yard, and there's a big wooden fence here. So this feels, to me, this feels pretty private. This looks like probably a pretty good spot to try to stay the night. So let's try that out. Let's head on in and we'll go to this Spreckles Avenue. We'll stay the night here. And then in the morning after we get up, we'll cruise down. It looks like just a couple miles or so over to this Alviso Marina City Park. Let's go! So as I pull up on Spreckles Avenue, it looks great just like on the map. The only thing I'm looking for is no parking signs. There was one sign, but it said no parking on the first Tuesday of every month from 6 to 10 a.m. for street sweeping. Today is not that day, so I'm good to stay here. It's been a long day of driving, and frankly, I'm tuckered out. So I'm gonna crash for the evening, and we'll explore tomorrow. I had a great night here on Spreckles Avenue. I opened up my window and listened to the birds chirping and the leaves rustling in the wind. This spot was an interesting mix of feeling like I'm alone out in nature while also being parked on a city street. I'll definitely be staying here again. Now I'm making my way to Alviso Marina County Park in my favorite fall jacket. It's time to do some exploring. The photos online looked really beautiful, and I'm curious to find out why the water looked rusty red on Google Maps. As I pull into the parking lot, I'm greeted by some ominous looking clouds and strong gusts of wind. The weather is really setting the mood for this evening. As I get out of my van, the first thing I notice is the colors. The diffused light coming through the clouds is making everything look vibrant without being overpowered by harsh sunlight. This is the perfect lighting for photography, or in my case, videography. Just take a look at these colors. This spot was absolutely beautiful. I continue down the walkway, which is suspended above some wetlands, and cross through another yellow door. Here, I get my first glimpse of the water. And wow, this is not at all what I expected. But not in a bad way. The view from here is actually quite surreal. I feel as though crossing through that doorway somehow teleported me to a far-off and mysterious land. How am I still in California right now? At first, I thought I was looking at red sand. But as I inspected it closer, I realized this is salt. In fact, it looks like a darker version of Himalayan sea salt. I just can't get over how unique this place is. If I just showed you this video without explanation, you could easily believe that I was in Antarctica or Alaska or Iceland or some far off place. But I'm actually only 45 minutes from San Francisco, California. How crazy is that? This place was absolutely beautiful. And I took a look at my hand after my encounter here, and you can see kind of the brownish yellow color, and I think that's from the iodine, which is naturally occurring in the salt. I noticed there's a trail up above that kind of perimeters the whole area, so I thought I would jog up and see where it led me. As I walked down the trail, I realized on the left side, there's actually a river, like a freshwater river, that kind of runs along the grassland. And then, of course, back on the right side, we have that salt flat. It's really interesting how almost these two different worlds are all converging on one place with this trail in between. Like on the left side, you have California. On the right side, you have, I don't know, Antarctica. And then I came up to this succulent patch, which I thought was really beautiful. So I decided to head down the hill and take a look at it. And there was just this little pop of succulents that sprouted up, and they were just a beautiful, vibrant green. And I don't know if I'm just the only one here, but stuff like this just really gets me pumped up. I'm just a nature nerd. I love stumbling upon unexpected, unknown places, and none of this would be possible if I wasn't traveling in a van. I really enjoyed this spot and actually spent a few hours here just exploring, but it's time to continue the journey. So I headed back to the parking lot, hopped in the van, and there's one thing I've been looking for quite a while, and that is a place to fill my fresh water. But I know that a lot of times marinas have water spigots located near them because they allow boaters to wash off their boats before and after they enter the river or the lake. And so, since this was Alviso Marina, I decided to drive down to the boat launch and just take a look and see if they had a water spigot. I didn't know if they did, but I just felt like there was a pretty good chance. The universe just provides, and so ultimately when you need something, there's just always a way that something comes through and you end up getting the thing that you need. And in this case, it was fresh water. As I pulled down around to the marina, I saw a huge yellow school bus. This one was not for children. This was a conversion. Someone was living in this bus. But I noticed they were parked along the curb and there was some water kind of dripping out under the bus. So I walked up and kind of went and poked my head around, and there was a nice lady there filling up her fresh water, and she was just finishing, and so she said she was going to be wrapping up shortly and she would move on along. And so that's my opportunity to pull up my van and fill my fresh water. When you're living this lifestyle, you always want to travel with your own hose. I use this small foldable hose by a company called Aqua Joe. It's a drinking water grade hose, so the lining of the hose is supposed to not have any super dangerous chemicals in it. And I like the Aqua Joe because it folds up pretty small as compared to a traditional rubber hose, and it's a lot more durable than those cheap pocket hoses that you see on Amazon and sold at Home Depot. I've had this one for over 3 years now, and it's been working great with no issues. I do have a basic sediment filter on my hose. These are just the cheap ones you can get online. As far as the water quality of this water goes, I have no idea. There's no signs that say it is not potable or that it's not safe to drink. And so I'm sure it's probably fine, but I only use my water tank for basically cooking and washing dishes and brushing my teeth, so I'm not too worried about it. I buy separate water that I use for drinking. So my heart is full from a day of exploring this beautiful nature spot, and my water tanks are full thanks to the Alviso County Marina, and now it's time to hit the road and head on to Tiny Fest. Tiny Fest features traditional tiny homes that stay in one place, and of course, tiny homes on wheels. Let's tour some interesting builds. I really enjoyed this 99 GMC Tiny Bird. It's built on a school bus platform, and the owner did a really good job of keeping it light and bright inside while feeling like there's a whole lot of room. She's got plenty of storage for clothes and quite the extensive book library. I can tell that when she's hanging out in nature, she's definitely cracking open a good book and looking out the window, watching the sunset. She's got a large counter space for preparing meals and a cozy bed in the back with some great photos of her nomad travels. The thing I really like about these bus builds is when you put the bed in the very back, you're absolutely surrounded by windows, which just makes it such an awesome experience when you're out deep in nature. She had a large Iceco fridge underneath the bed. This is a dual zone fridge freezer combo, and full-size closet for all the goodies. The next rig I checked out was this Gypsy Wagon, which was built onto a Sprinter T1N chassis. This thing was so unique and elaborate. All the details and the custom woodworking and hand painting. I can't even begin to imagine how much time was put into the decor inside this build. It looked cool. It's definitely a very specific style. It almost reminded me of an old spaghetti factory on the inside, if you guys have ever eaten at one of those spots. But very warm and cozy. The hammered copper sink and countertop was super cool, and just everywhere you look there was custom artwork and mosaics and stained glass. He also had a pretty good book collection, I liked the use of fabric on the wall. It was almost like a tapestry, but everything was cut to size and felt very specific. He had a smaller 12-volt fridge and some pretty cool nautical styled gauges up on the ceiling, and of course this one had a full shower and toilet. Overall, very cool build with a little bit of a nautical vibe to it. I really liked this one. There was a builder on site by the name of Happier Camper, and so they had both a Sprinter conversion as well as a couple smaller custom trailers. What was really interesting about this Sprinter conversion is the whole interior was made up of like a modular plastic or fiberglass shell. So it looks like you could probably just buy these interior panels for your specific vehicle and then slide them into place. I like how the interior shell perfectly covered every little nook and cranny. It looked like an entire one-piece shell, almost like a shower stall. But then the opposite side of that is it felt a little bit like a shower stall. So I feel like this would definitely need a little more personal touch to feel homey. And then besides the Sprinter conversion van, they also had smaller campers that they sold. These are going to be just pull behind campers. And they're pretty cool on the outside. They have kind of a retro vibe. And then the interior is a similar style to the Sprinter van, where it's kind of this one piece plastic interior lining. They definitely looked like they were very well built, and they had great insulation. All the doors and windows and weather stripping, everything looked super well done. They were pretty small on the inside. You had basically a convertible bed bench area, a large shower with toilet, and then a pretty small space to store clothing and also prepare for your food. It looks like the whole trailer only has this one Dometic slide out refrigerator drawer. But with the huge bathroom, I just don't get it. For me personally, I would have much less of a bathroom and a little more counter space for cooking. But to each their own. The nice thing, it did have a big gas burner sink combo built into the butcher block counter. But again, really no counter space for preparing meals. There was a fully equipped Sprinter. It had all the exterior accessories bolted onto it, and this one was definitely the wood lovers special. There was plenty of storage in this unit. I liked the drawers on the back side and down inside the garage, and then basically the whole interior was covered in wood, which, you know, if you're someone that really enjoys wood, this was a really cool interior. I do like the bed in the back. It allows you to look out the windows when you're parked in nature. And as we swing around to the side view door, you can see they have a full shower with toilet, nice kitchen area with a pretty decent sized sink and countertop, and it even had an additional passenger seat. Now, this specific Tiny Fest was more geared towards traditional tiny dwellings, and they had less vehicles on display. So as far as the traditional tiny homes, what's really become popular is what's called ADU, which I believe means additional dwelling unit, but basically it's a pretty small tiny home that you can just kind of drop in the back of your yard, specifically here in California. I thought this was a really cool looking, modern, basically tiny room. You know, there's no bathroom or kitchen in here. This is something that you would basically just use as a guest bedroom or a private work office, but I really liked the interior design. It felt like a really nice space. And it was cool to walk around to the back and see that the whole house was powered by an EcoFlow Delta Max. I think this is a great application for an EcoFlow Delta Max. The whole unit just plugs right in to their residential circuit breaker, and they're off to the races. This was my favorite larger size tiny home. I really like the interior. We'll do a quick shot of the price tag over here just so you guys can see, get an idea for what these things cost. They have a base price of $111,000, $47,000 in options brings the total on this house to $159,000. Now, what I really liked about it was they have a sitting room inside, and I don't know that I've really seen a tiny house with a sitting room. So just to the right, you have two chairs, a nice big TV, and windows on both sides. And it's kind of cool just to have this sitting room. It feels like a whole separate area within the tiny house. There's also a spiral staircase that goes up above to a loft area, and then we'll kind of cruise through the kitchen here. The cool thing too is the very tall ceilings. So the space just feels large because of the big ceilings. They have a lot of lighting up there, nice ceiling fan, very tall cabinets. This would be a great house for a tall person. Very large counter space and prep area. And then as you go to the back, there is full-size bathroom, toilet and shower stall. Also, they have laundry facilities. It feels really big for the space that it is. And the bedroom is up above in the loft area. The most unique build has to be hive design. This is basically a guest bedroom. There's no kitchen or bath, but damn, it sure is cozy inside. I could definitely see myself snuggled up in bed looking out the large picture window during a rainstorm. Now that would be an epic experience. I heard this is actually a really big seller. And I think people just really appreciate the closeness and the connection with nature that you experience in a design like this. It really makes you feel like you're out in the forest. And that about wraps up today's video. We packed quite a lot in. Make sure to tune in next Sunday and let's see what happens next. Because honestly, I have no idea what's coming. And that's what I love about van life. Every day is an adventure.